Good morning, good evening, everyone. Just giving everyone a chance to get started here. We'll be starting in a few minutes with our daily lunch and learn. Please feel free to go ahead and submit any questions that you may have as we wait to see here for just a couple of minutes. And as we are getting started today, so we have an attendee here. Please feel free, David, go ahead and join us if you have any questions. And if there are no questions to get us started here today, my name is Kevin. Actually, let's go ahead and start there. My name is Kevin. I'm a sales engineer here at Decisions. And so I'm here along with my fellow colleague, Ryan. We're going to be able to answer any questions that may come about, as well as just be able to show you just a couple of things here that some of the functionality that you have here in Decisions that is available. So to get started here today, one of the things I found fascinating, wanted to show was inside of Decisions with creating assignments and sending out emails and messages to different users as a part of a workflow. You can also send messages via SMS. So down here in our system folder, if we go inside of our administration folder, we'll go inside of our notifications, and if we click on SMS, you see you have different options available for SMS, but also, so these have been preset, but you can also go up here into the add SMS action up here at the top and be able to add an additional SMS character or carrier, I'm sorry. So as you see, we have different options here for different carriers. And then what that does, what you can do inside of your workflow is if we go inside of our text flow here, now we can go inside of our toolbox and we actually have a custom step specifically for SMS. Looks like the email step, but it is for SMS. So over here to the left, you can set your from, and I'm not just going to fill in this information with mine today, but I just want to show you how to do it. You can pick that particular from address, whether it be an email, whether it be a particular number. And then on the contact info, this is where you can add your number. So if we go to build data, and now we have different options available so that we can send it, whether it be an email or even for a phone. And if I choose phone, we can add a different button or a different, phone number as well. We can set our carrier as well. If we want to accept the SMS, accept the pre-selected carriers that we've already set up. And again, welcome today. I'm just going through some different options, capabilities that you have inside of the tool, but please feel free to submit any questions, any specific issues that you're having, and we can address them today. And I see that a hand is raised.
Yeah, hey there. How are you doing?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm well, thanks. So this is like, I have a support ticket open for this, but I'm just trying to use Lunch and Learn to speed the plow.
Okay.
I think it's something that's fairly straightforward, but so what's going on is I'm using a bunch of HTML to PDF steps, and then I funnel that into a PDF merge step to basically put two PDF documents together, which I'm trying to feed into the document viewer. So the output from the PDF merge step is a list of bytes, and the input to the document viewer is file data. So I'm wondering how I convert those two.
Yeah, I can jump in and answer this one for you, Kevin. If you look on the input to the doc viewer for file data, if you select build data on it, one of the 4 resulting options is a type called contents that accepts a byte array. So you simply need to map it into that value inside there.
I go to the document viewer.
On the form inside the flow, like where you would map it, where you've defined that coming in from the flow.
Okay.
And if you click on it, select build data instead of select from flow. Then you can pass the byte array into the contents field.
Build data. Build data. And so okay, so now I can go like, I can select the contents from the flow.
Yeah, for the contents mapping, you can do select from flow.
Okay, and then the output of this guy was, okay, I'll fiddle around with that.
Yeah, that should get you where you need for that.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
No problem. Are there any other questions today? I just had one additional thing that I was going to show here, but I just want to leave enough time. Just let you know, please feel free to interrupt me. Come off mute if you need to ask any additional questions. But another option that you have here in Decisions is to, we have some pre-built modules in here as well. So if you click on your My Apps and click on modules, you'll see the different ones that we have available. One of them being AWS. Now with AWS, Decisions has already pre-built steps inside of it. So what this does, and with any module that you see here, once you click on install, you will then have different options available inside of your folder tree to drag and drop those particular steps in regards to that module onto your workflow. So if I go inside of my LNL flow and I scroll down here inside of my integrations folder, now I have that module that's been set up. And now with AWS, what happens is there are multiple options available, multiple services available inside of Amazon Web Services that we already have pre-built inside of here. So you don't have to go through the sometimes strenuous tasks of setting up the API and creating the custom headers and signatures that are needed in order to talk to, in this case, AWS. But in this particular case, just want to demonstrate one other thing, which is creating a VPC. So inside of AWS, you can create a VPC or a virtual private cloud. And I'll just show you what that looks like here inside of a console. So if you have an account with AWS and you wanted to spin up virtual private cloud to host different instances, or maybe you're trying to use it to host your containers inside of ECS, that's also possible inside of, and to view it inside of the console. But for today, I just want to take a look at the VPCs and how to create one inside of Decisions. So as you see here, this is my default VPC that you'll always have to have inside of your console. But I want to just walk through the steps of creating a new one. So over here to the right, once you drag the step on, you have different options available. And some of these you will need, others not so much. So the IPv or the 6 block, we're going to set all of these to ignore because we don't need that. Some of these are options and not mandatory for you to be able to set it up. If I go ahead and select a CIDR block, I can go and declare one. I'm just going to create a custom one here and just going to set some random numbers here to create it. My instance Tennessee, let's set that to ignore it as well. And for the region, how AWS works is that there are multiple regions set up across the US or really across the world. And from there, you can go in and declare your own region that you would like to set up your VPC in. So as you see here, we have different options available. And I see we have another attendee just joined. Please feel free to ask any questions as I go through this today. Just going through some different options that you have in Decisions to pass time, give some time for others to ask any questions that may be lingering. Post them in the chat or feel free to come off of mute. So for our instance, what we're going to do is use this first one, it's US East. And I'm just going to put it inside of my region system name. And once we do that, let's go inside the debugger. Once we do click debug, we go back inside of our console now. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Now we have that new VPC available for our use. And again, with the VPC, what you can do, you have different options. So we can come in and if we wanted to create an instance, we can walk through, drag on the instance. If we wanted to take a look at our security groups, our ACL, our network ACLs, our route tables, you can also do that as well. But this is just one of the options that you do have available for inside of your Decisions AWS module. And if Ryan, did you want to show anything? I know we're 15 minutes in. Doesn't look like there are any questions that have been posted as of yet. And I'm glad that worked for you, AP. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, happy to. I'll give it a little moment just to see if we have anything extra lingering, or if there are any questions, or in particular, if any of the attendees here would like to see something in particular, shown, if there's something you're building out and struggling with, or anything like that.
I've got a question. I'm not sure that it's going to be able to be answered here, but it's something that's been kind of lingering around in the back of my mind, in that I'm using the Decisions agent to do some Active Directory re-authentication. And like everything's working so far, but my concern is, and I've done some testing around this, so maybe I'm just not familiar with the syntax, but like we have two domains, kind of thing. I mean, I think Ryan, you're familiar with our setup at Analogic. Like I'm on the ANRAD
Correct.
side, and so
Yeah.
I've set up like Active Directory for ANRAD. And but there's an option in there somewhere that says like, do you want to use domain prefixing or something along those lines? And I guess what that means is that would allow people to both use like domain A/username versus domain B/username. So right now I don't have that option checked, so it's not using domain prefixing, and so I'm basically just using my username. But the testing that I had done in the past is that when I did activate domain prefixing, I couldn't get the syntax of how I kind of pass my credentials through. So is there something that I'm just kind of not understanding in that?
Now, give me a moment to kind of look up a little bit of information on this here. I'm not intimately familiar with it myself. Give me just one
Okay.
sec here to
Anyway,
some
I mean,
auxiliary
it's
digging.
just kind of starting a conversation. I mean, if you other people have questions and that sort of stuff, I don't want to go way off track here.
And while he's doing that and looking that up, what we can do, I did have a question posted in the Q&A from Martin, and please, Martin, feel free to come off mute as well. You said you had a question here about any way we can call a flow through API integration and let it finish on its own, but returns a 200 status, so the integration isn't kept waiting on it to finish. Could you come off mute and?
Yeah. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing today?
I have a flow that has some logic on it. We're trying to do a PDF form and fill out the fields on it, but it's taking way too long to do that. So I was wondering if there's any way that we could return a status so the integration can at least know that it is running and not wait until it's done.
I can jump in and speak to this one a bit. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, you're like the flow is completed, but you're not getting a 200 end time, or from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the flow is still running. And so whatever that logic might be that has maybe a ton of evaluations being kicked off or something like that, but a 200 would just come back when the flow completes. That would be just the end return. Can I get a little more information?
I think it's just a PDF step that is taking way too long. There's not that much logic in it right now. So yeah, I once I send the info for the fields I want to set up on the PDF, I really don't mind not knowing if the flow has finished or not. I trust decisions enough to not need to know that. So I just don't want to keep the integration waiting on a result.
So what are we currently getting back as a return, if not a 200?
It is a 200. It's just taking too long to return a 200.
Okay, so then in that case, if it's a more performance issue as opposed to something like that, to where it's just not responding at the, I guess, desired speed, we'd probably want to take a look at the actual flow, even if it's very light, to look at two things. And the first one would be if there is just some logic or like a more performative step we could advise. That would be the first thing we'd look at. And the second one would be to evaluate if there's a potential bug or something at play that, based on some mapping, it's triggering some weird condition. And to barely go down either of those paths, a decision support ticket's probably going to be the best way to do that there. Just as they'll be able to bring developers in on the call if need be, to kind of evaluate code if it gets to that level. But most likely this probably is just, some logic that needs to be tweaked, or if it's maybe the size of the PDF and that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be the size of the PDF. I'll look into that with the support team. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, not a problem at all. That's definitely so, like right up their alley, their bread and butter. And yeah, I believe it's Alex, correct? If I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Alex, I've gone ahead and taken a look. I'm not seeing too much about additional prefixing. I'm familiar with the no prefixing option, if that's what we're referring to. If this is just a newer functionality, I'll have to unfortunately just get back to you on it. I'm just not seeing anything that in my access.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
But
And
for the
yeah, and
no
I'll do some more
prefixing,
testing here in dev to clarify, exactly what think I'm trying to express, and we'll go from there.
we're referring to the checkbox that's use no login prefix, correct?
I can never settings. Is it settings?
Settings, active directory settings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So here, if I edit my anrad.com, it says, yeah, use no logon prefix.
Okay, that explains a little. All right. Yeah, so that checkbox simply just allows you to remove prefixing from your accounts that are created, as well as the login credentials that we send to your Active Directory. Just depending on some older ADs will typically not like that prefixing. So that's how we can remove it, basically. That's all that control's for.
Oh, I see. So, okay, so this actually, so if we create another Active Directory setting pointing to a different domain controller, these two things aren't at all related.
Correct. And so you could have, the two of them going to company A and company B, and they would be if as long as that box is not checked in either, they would prefix them with the respective identifiers. If we check that box, it will remove that.
Yeah, but I mean that's fine if it removes it, because it's again, it's like it's not going to, if I have domain A and it's not checked, then the request is going to go to domain A. And if I if I select a domain B, then yeah, so they're completely independent of each other. Okay, I thought it was actually like something where the way the user was sent to either of the domain controllers. But if this setting is unique to each one of the domain controllers that you set up, then that's perfect.
Yeah, it's unique to each of the listings inside there. You could check one for one AD and leave it unchecked for
and
another.
not uncheck it for another. Okay, perfect.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Clarity.
Of course.
Are there any remaining questions? I'll just give a additional couple minutes for anything to come in. If there are no additional questions or concerns, then we can go ahead and end today's lunch and learn session.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that.
No problem. You all have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.